So yesterday, the first category of firearms that we talked about was the duty gun, and we talked about the characteristics of the duty gun, like the heavier trigger, the durability. Oftentimes, for example, I consider the Glock 19 one of the best duty guns, and it's also considered a dry gun. Why? Because it does not require as much oil in order to function as other firearms. Now, this Glock 19 can also serve as a concealed carry. Why? We talked about the fact that the lower, because it's a little smaller, it allows you to conceal and not print. Okay, and by print, I mean someone being able to look into your shirt or your jacket and see that you have something on your body. This is this is a recreational firearm, okay? This particular firearm is a SAR 9. It is a very good gun. This is a Turkish gun as well. Now, with this particular firearm, if you notice, it's not cut for the red dot. Okay, it has iron sights. I keep this way. Now, I can spend more money, send this off to be cut and place a dot on it. However, you always need to carry iron sights with you whenever you go to the range, because you need to be able to do both. Because what you have to always remember is that your dot will fall and break. The battery will die on you. There's just so many reasons that, and if that happens, what are you going to do? You have to know how to use that iron sight. Now, what is the difference between this duty gun and slash concealed carry? The difference is, if you look at the lowers on the particular firearms, you'll see that this is a little more fuller. Okay, this has a very comfortable grip. This is an inexpensive gun, and it's not gonna hurt your pockets to have or to purchase this particular firearm. It's just not gonna do that. So, okay, this comes with 2 magazines. This one has 17 rounds. And if you notice, if you look at the slides, the one thing you're gonna notice is that the recreational firearm is a tad bit longer than the Glock 19, which I use as a concealed carry firearm. So the next category of firearms that I would like to discuss are race guns, commonly referred to as race guns, but they are competition guns. The first one that I would like to share with you is, of course, my favorite, the Walther PDP. Okay? Now, the Walther PDP, ergonomically, it is absolutely awesome. The trigger is one of the best triggers that comes out of the box. Now, you can get this in 4.5 inches. This particular one is a little bit longer. Why? Because I consider this a competition gun, because the longer the barrel, the better it is in helping with the recoil. Okay? Most guns that I have that I would use in a competition are at least 5 inches. Okay? And this particular firearm is one of my favorite that I do use. Now, let's compare the two. This is, of course, my Canic rival. Okay, and this is the FSX model. This is a polymer lower with a steel slide. This is the 45 blast compensator. This compensator does help. This kind of changes the category. With this particular, without this, if I went into a competition and I did not have the force, this would be carry-optic. So this particular firearm is carry-optic. Why? Because I have the dot on it. There are no cuts anywhere on the slide. This particular firearm is a little more open carry. Why? Because if you look, you'll see the cuts up top, but also I always throw this compensator on it, which kind of is fantastic. It looks like a space gun, but this is a fantastic firearm. Out of the box, these guns have a easier and faster trigger. Okay, they have an easier and faster trigger where in the duty gun, the poundage on that duty gun is a little heavier. Why? Because you don't want that particular firearm to go off just like that. Okay? This particular firearm, you want it moving fast. So you want a lighter trigger and you want a very tight wall on your firearm. So you want to be able to just like that. So again, whenever you go out to purchase your first firearm, you want to consider how you want to use it. Most people will not go from taking a basic class to buying a competition gun. Okay, everything comes with steps, everything comes with time. So again, what you'd want to consider, for some people, I did, it's not for everybody. When I got my first firearm, this manual safety was very important. I did not have the confidence to carry one in the chamber and actually not have a manual safety. So that was extremely important to me. So purchasing your gun has to be based on how you feel. You can go out, you can buy your first firearm, you can have a manual safety on it, but the next thing that you have to decide is if you want to carry around in the chamber. That's a very, very personal decision, and I would never tell you what you should do. Foolishly for me, I think I went for a while without carrying around in the chamber, but I think that for me, that actually came with time as well. So I had the manual safety. I had a Smith & Wesson, had a manual safety on it, and I still didn't have one in the chamber. So eventually, I would rack the slide. So I got one in the chamber. I would put the manual on, and I felt comfortable with that for a while. Eventually, as I continued to learn, I understood the importance of having a Kydex holster. This is the only type of holster I buy, is Kydex, with every particular firearm, and honestly, it's the only thing that I recommend. So I bought Kydex holsters, so I know that whenever I stick my firearm into this particular holster, there is nothing that's gonna come between that trigger and that holster. So I would also say to you that I even recommend, if you are a lady and you're carrying in your purse, that you should always still put your firearm or your handgun into a Kydex case. Why? Because oftentimes with ladies, you drop it in the bag, you have lipstick, you have eyeliner, and anything that could possibly get in and push that trigger forward. Now, if you have a manual safety, then you're fine. You don't have to worry about that. Now, I would also say that if you have a manual safety, that means that you have an extra step whenever you go to the range and you start to draw your gun and you're working on speed. Now, what is that extra step? Now, you're going to have to work on drawing from your holster, dropping your manual safety, now shooting. And so it can be done. People do it every day. But in other words, practice the way you would actually use your firearm in the event that something were to happen. Because I promise you this, you want the habits to kick in, not the emotions. So if you are in an intense situation and you never practice taking your safety off, You pull your firearm to defend yourself or defend someone else. You pull the trigger and guess what? It ain't gonna shoot. Why? Because you didn't practice taking the safety off. Take the safety off now. So that's very important. But listen, there's so many options out there for you, and no particular firearm is the perfect firearm to purchase. Get out, have some fun, shoot different types of firearms, and you find what works for you and what's comfortable for you. And hey, listen, have some fun to get yourself a gun.